Diversity in the legal field is a major concern for some lawyers, like Danielle Hernandez of Tampa. The FAMU Law alum is president-elect of the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association and is passionate about diversity. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
What is your background and your journey in the legal field?
Well, I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and I am a first-generation American, first-generation everything, first generation to go past high school. And I went to law school at Florida A&M College of Law. I'm a class of 2010. During my time at FAMU, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to get a connection basically into the federal government. So my career started me off in the federal government in intelligence. Later, I transitioned to the Department of Homeland Security, where I was a assistant chief counsel, basically a trial attorney doing immigration deportations. And that eventually led me to where I am now in private practice.
That is such a fascinating background. You started in intelligence.
I did.
Wow.
It was awesome. But that was my first awakening to there is absolutely nobody like me in my entire area of responsibility. There were 2 Hispanic women in our whole division, and that was quite alarming to me in the federal government.
Yeah, that was going to be a question. What are your thoughts on representation in Hispanic and Latino communities?
It's funny you say that. I didn't know because I grew up somewhere very Hispanic and extremely, I guess, diverse, more the opposite of the norm. I read a statistic, the American Bar Association states that only 5.3% of all attorneys are of Hispanic descent, and only 2% of the 5% are women. So 2% of our entire profession makes up Latina or Hispanic attorneys. And that was very obvious to me once I started working for the federal government, which kind of took me by surprise. I didn't expect it. So in intelligence, I was one of few. And then when I transitioned to the Department of Homeland Security, I was very surprised to see that that was still the case. Oftentimes, even security guards aren't used to seeing a Hispanic woman attorney. They would ask me if I was the interpreter or if I'm there to fulfill another function. And I was always happy to say, no, I am the trial attorney. But throughout my career, I've realized that we are needed out there. And so now, you know, after 10 years, I decided I want to open my own law firm and I want to do this type of work. And I realized that my language and my background and my voice is needed. So that's where I am now.
Absolutely. We have some similar numbers in the Black community as far as representation. And there's a lot of work to be done.
There is. In my part, I do my best to encourage younger generations. I try to reach back and talk to high school girls. There are a lot of local organizations that it's important for somebody you have to see yourself. So I go back in high school. That's, you know, the key moment where you're deciding what you want to do with your life. And I remind them, I didn't have the perfect family where we think is the perfect family to guide your path to school. So I let them know what my journey was. I applied for Bright Futures in high school. I planned out and mapped out what I wanted my next couple of years to be. These are the steps I took back then. And then I remind them that now the internet is far more advanced. Like, I think I did my FAFSA by hand in paper, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I think I did a few college applications in paper. So I love reaching out to the younger generation just to remind them you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and it's so good to see them light up because you can tell that it's not even something that crossed their mind sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think that I knew I wanted to be an attorney. When I was younger, I wanted to be a judge. So that's what brought me into law. I remember thinking, oh, I want to be a judge one day. How do we get there? Okay, these are the steps. Then I went to undergrad, and when I finished undergrad, I was like, well, I still don't know what I want to do with my life. I took a year off, and that, fortunately, I drove by Florida A&M College of Law here in Orlando one day on the way back from a concert. And I said, I didn't know the campus was here.
Right
I'm going to go ahead
there.
and apply.
Okay.
So I took a chance, and I applied to FAMU and a school back home in Miami, and I thought, I need to get out of South Florida. Back then, Dr. Ekpo gave me a call and gave me the good news that I made it in, and the rest is history.
Wow. And I had a question about your profession. What kinds of issues are your clients facing in your practice?
That's an awesome question because immigration is something I'd love for people to know. It ebbs and flows, and it's very politically dependent on what is going on. So right now, because we're gearing up towards an election year in 2024, in Florida, you start to feel the politicization of immigration.
Yes.
So normally I work with issues of people crossing the border, coming in and seeking asylum. That is I would say the 70% of my casework. And because I was a trial attorney, I'm quite comfortable doing a lot of deportation defense in court. I enjoy it quite a lot. I spend a lot of time litigating right now via the computer on WebEx, but it's still fun. And that's the majority of my caseload. The rest are people who are detained for issues that they can't really control anymore. For example, driving without a license can trigger an ICE hold. So you can be cited for driving without a license. They can check your status, and guess what? You find yourself in immigration jail. So I help some of those people get out of jail. And then your classic people who marry someone who want to become a U.S. citizen or a resident. Those are my happy cases. I'm happy to help them with that. And also people who want help becoming a U.S. citizen. Those are also my happy cases, but I spend a lot of time litigating in court, and the majority of my clients are people who are coming in from Spanish-speaking countries who, unfortunately, sometimes they fall prey to people who are not attorneys. So that is one area that I really try to educate clients. Look, if someone says they're an attorney, you can make Google speak Spanish. You can type it in Spanish. You can look up if someone is an attorney, ask them what state they're barred in. These are things that are at your hands, they're at your disposal. So I also teach them how to do that and how to file a bar complaint if necessary. I hear a lot of times, my attorney took $10,000 from me and didn't do anything.
Oh my goodness.
Or worse, my attorney took $10,000 from me and now I have an order of deportation. So these are the kinds of issues. Right now in Florida, being an immigration attorney is very important. We have on July 1st a new set of laws that are coming into play here in Florida that are going to criminalize certain groups, particularly non-citizens. So we have an issue with people transferring or trafficking people into the state. I'm not quite sure how they want to enforce this, but I have everyday folks that are terrified to drive to work. I have people that are asking me, should I move out of the state of Florida? And I have people that just no longer want to take a chance and work here. So there are a lot of immigration issues continuously, particularly in our state.
Yes. Well, we appreciate your advocacy and thank you for providing much needed representation in your community.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to do the same.
Thank you. According to the American Bar Association, racial and ethnic diversity in the legal profession is necessary to demonstrate that our laws are being made and administered for the benefit of all persons. There's more coming up on Legal Connections. Stay with us.